Poverty is a global crisis, and there have been many proposed solutions to it. Over the last few years, though, there's a growing recognition that charity, while helpful for relief in disaster situations, actually can do more harm than good if continued over a long term. It treats symptoms of poverty, like hunger, without creating sustainable solutions to it, and even traps the poor in cycles of dependency so that aid, once started, can never stop. Entrepreneurship, on the other hand, allows people in developing contexts to stand up and solve their own problems. It gives people ownership and sustainable solutions that they create, which then promotes dignity and human flourishing rather than dependency. But if we're going to solve poverty on a community level, is it enough to simply create a few businesses? The answer, unfortunately, is no, because the economic roots of poverty go beyond the problems of any one individual business. It is not just that people are poor. It is that an undeveloped economy does not support economic growth for everyone. We can see what the issues are when we look at a graph which charts the number of businesses in a community or country as compared to the level of their capitalization. In a developed economy, there's a wide range of businesses, with more smaller businesses than larger ones, but with a robust SME or small and medium enterprise space. What SMEs do is allow people and businesses to grow across the middle, all the way up into larger financial entities. The vast majority of a country's economy lives in this SME space. This is not the case in the developing communities. In a developing community, there's typically many more micro businesses and then a few large capitalized businesses. But here in the middle, where the majority of the economic activity should be happening, there just isn't anything there. It also means that economic churn only happens at the bottom and at the top. So someone at the bottom here simply can't visualize a pathway up because there isn't any support for him or her in the economic middle. This is what we mean when we talk about the missing middle. And unfortunately, much of our entrepreneurial efforts tend to reinforce this developing model rather than transforming it. There are currently two well-funded and significant forms of entrepreneurial development in the developing world. The first is microfinance or microbusiness, which can be hugely transformative for individual families. These are usually loans of $50 to $500 with which a family can buy a goat or a sewing machine or some other commodity with which to start a simple business that feeds his or her family and creates sustainability for that family. Microfinance programs can have a wide population impact because they're easy to scale by just giving out a lot of very small loans across the bottom 30% of the population. But it tends to have little impact on the economy in the form of jobs or economic development. The other very effective form of entrepreneurial development is large-scale impact investing, where a growing company in the developing world can get $100,000 to $1 million investment to scale their developing world business. Again, this can be a very good thing. The problem is that for many of these businesses, the founders came from more highly educated and better funded parts of the economy and are now starting their large businesses. These investments can have a very high economic impact, but the population that is affected is often a narrow one at the top end of the economic scale. If a community is going to be transformed, the problem of the missing middle must be addressed, or a community will always be developing because there is no movement up the economic ladder. But there are not a lot of organizations or programs addressing the missing middle. This is understandable because it's a risky space. Moving large numbers of people into new growth businesses means dealing with unproven businesses and letting people try things that have never been tried. Failure is common, and there is often not a lot of support for people in this space. But if we're going to truly bring transformation to a community, we have to do it. True solutions will have to find ways to create viral SME growth across the missing middle. Only then can we begin to change the economic environment from developing to developed. This is eCatalyst's goal, to change entire communities by creating not just locally owned businesses, but a locally owned business creating engine that multiplies and inspires others to fill the missing middle and transform communities through their entrepreneurs.